Welcome to Empower Your Presentations. This is session 2, Explore the Marketplace. Today we're going to talk about prospecting. So let's get right after it. So step 1 is exploring the marketplace. That's prospecting. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to canvas for leads. Who's the one? Who is not necessarily even a prospect? Who's a suspect for your potential products, goods, and services? Remember, people are going to purchase the benefits that your products and services deliver. So who are the people, uh, organizations, companies, things like that, that could benefit from what you have? Again, at this point, we are not defining down yet. We are brainstorming. We're looking for anyone. Who is your avatar? Well, what's an avatar? An avatar is your ideal client. Who absolutely needs what you sell? Well, the answer, anyone and everyone, are inappropriate because not everyone and not anyone needs what you have. I'm sorry, I know that most people would like to think that, but that's not the way it is. We've got to get down to defining who our ideal client is. Why? Because it'll be easier to find them. We want to know where to look for that avatar as we explore the marketplace. Do you know and understand your knowledge and skill sets? So as you're understanding your ideal client and everything that you're targeting going forward, do you know your abilities? Are you great at talking to people? Can you start a conversation anywhere? Do you know some special online tricks? What is your knowledge and skill set that is available to be of service to other people? As we continue, who needs what you offer? Remember, this is about satisfying prospects' needs, wants, and desires. So who truly needs what you offer? Now, the best way to frame this is understand, and one of the ways that I say it to people is I specialize in identifying problems and providing solutions. Well, we're in the identifying problems part of this whole thing right now. So who has a problem that in fact your product, goods, or services solve? One of the things that I do when I go into consulting clients is I say, what problems do your offerings solve? The more clear you are on that, the easier it will be to find the prospect who needs that, and it will make this process, it'll collapse your sales cycle. It'll make it so much easier on you. Who else is providing a similar solution in the marketplace? Most times, people are not sole suppliers of a solution. So who else is providing similar solutions in the marketplace? Yesterday, I had our air conditioner worked on. There was more than one air conditioning service location available. So I was able to look between them. I was able to get some word of mouth recommendation, and I ended up going with the referred trust of the one that in fact other people have used that I knew. Well, it's the same kind of thing. Who else has a similar solution to you in your marketplace? What you have to do is you have to do the research. Shotgunning your approach, meaning just throwing bits and pieces into the air and hoping somebody raises their hand, not really the way you do it. What's more accurate? A shotgun blasting pebbles out and about, pellets. Okay, I'll say the word right eventually. Pellets out and around, or a rifle. that can be extremely targeted? Well, a rifle. So again, the more that you understand these things and the more clear you become, the better off you're going to do. Now, how do you do this? First of all, walk a mile in their shoes. It doesn't matter what you think about your product. Ultimately, it does, but in this case, you have to walk a mile in their shoes. How is this going to serve them? How will this make their life easier? If you can't understand how they ultimately benefit from making this decision, you've got a problem. What would make the decision of buying your products, good, and service the easiest decision that these people ever had in the history of ever? That's what you have to look at. You have to target decision makers. You have to get to the people who can say yes. Presenting to the underlings is wonderful. It might work you up the chain. But if they can't write the check, if they can't make the decision, it's just delaying the process. So go to the top as fast as you can. Target your decision makers. Well, how do you target decision makers? You target decision makers by knowing your ideal avatar. You see, the more clear you become, clarity is an amazing thing. When you know your expectations, you know who your targets are. Therefore, you know what the process needs to be. It all ties together. Your existing network equals your net worth. Who do you know? And who do you know that they know? Who do they know? And they know, you understand. They used to say we're 6 degrees of separation from everybody on the planet. There's not a chance it's 6 degrees anymore, not with social media, not with the internet. I'm going to suggest you're probably 2 degrees of separation from somebody that you really want to meet. Now, what does that mean? That means if you don't know them, you know somebody who knows them. You're not that far away from anybody you want to speak with. You just have to think about this a little bit differently. This is why we explore the marketplace and we learn these skill sets. Now, you can do it a number of different ways. Cold prospecting is one way. What is cold prospecting? Cold prospecting is you don't know anything about anything. You don't know the people, you know very little about them. You're cold. So what's important here is you have to learn the process to go from cold to warm. Now, how do you go from cold to warm? Contact. You've got to make contact with them, and that's the next step. But the process is to learn about people. When you identify your ideal client, you know your avatar, you know where your avatar hangs out. One of the ways is to put yourself in the environment where the avatar is. Where do you fish for fish? In a pond that has fish. So if you know your avatar is a fish and you know your avatar hangs out in a pond, wouldn't it make sense to address the pond appropriately? Fish where the fish are. It's kind of a novel concept, but it's really about that simple. Keep expanding your circles by giving information and asking questions. One of the questions that I ask consistently of people is, who do you know that I need to know? I don't always know who my friends know, but they do. So ask the question, who do you know that I need to know? Well, why would they introduce you? Because you're friends. You've created a relationship. Remember, this is about securing relationships. Successful transactions don't happen typically without work in advance. But when you make the work in advance fun, it's cool. It's just a process. So keep expanding your circles by giving information and asking questions. Then there's warm prospecting. Well, what's warm prospecting? Warm prospecting is those you already know. You know that you know. Now, my great friend Bob Bodine wrote an amazing book called The Power of Who. He calls your warm prospects your who. And he suggests that you probably only need 12 really good who's, and everything that you need to do from that point is within those 12 who's. Now, I gotta support Bob in this. I've got a lot of who's, I think, but if you really look at the closest ones that serve you in your prospecting, it's probably those 12. Never assume someone cannot help you build your business. Well, there's no way that Aunt Margaret could possibly help. How do you know? Are you a mind reader? Now, I'm not saying you go to Aunt Margaret, excuse me, and go straight at her and say, Aunt Margaret, I got this product. I need you to help me with it. But I would suggest you sharing your passion and what you are doing for Aunt Margaret to listen to, consider. And because of her love for you, she just might suggest, hey, Tommy might be interested in what you're talking about there. Oh, thank you, Aunt Margaret. See, friends and family are amazing. That's your warm market. That's what you've built up over time. Then you need to expand your horizons. How do you expand your horizons? Well, go to networking meetings, go to places outside, get out of your chair in front of your computer, go meet people, embody childlike curiosity. Learn to ask a ton of questions. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. If somebody doesn't want to answer it, they just don't answer it. But if you say, who do you know that I need to know? Oh, I really don't need anybody. Really cool. What do you do for fun? Oh, I play soccer. Awesome. Who's the best soccer player on your team? What do they do for fun? Well, they play soccer. What else do they do? Well, they ride motorcycles. Well, do you know anybody else that is in the motorcycle business? Do you understand? If you got this curiosity, you can keep on going for a long time. I said this earlier, fish where the fish are. If you want to catch fish, you don't go to a big dirt field. You throw a line in the dirt, you're not going to catch any fish. I mean, that's just common sense. But what I've found over years of doing this, sometimes common sense isn't so common. You fish where the fish are. If you want to attract highly placed people, in other words, the wealthy, where do the wealthy hang? Well, the wealthy hang at charity events. Why? Because they donate. They're wealthy. So one of the places to meet wealthy people is at charity events. And the byproduct is you also help the charity along the way. Isn't that amazing? See, if you do this, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll always get what you want. Who else does something similar to what you do? If somebody becomes a prospect for you Ask that prospect who else does things that are similar to you, because it's another place to open up those leads and prospects. Utilize professional help. What's that mean? Well, that could be placing ads. That could be networking groups. It could be anybody, matchmaking groups, matchmakers. Utilize professionals that expand your reach. Prospect within your target's peer group. So again, if your target happens to be a particular individual, where do those type of individuals hang out? I mean, do they support scouting organizations? Do they support whatever? Back in the day when my daughter was in Indian Princesses, we were in Indian Princesses. Well, let's see. We had an AC repair guy, awesome guy. We had a pilot for Southwest Airlines. We had an entrepreneur. We had a business guy. We had an innovator. Do you understand? The dads all had different positions, but the peer group was Indian Princess. Now, did we have our daughters join Indian Princess to have access to those people? No. It's the happy byproduct of doing that. Who is in your avatar's inner circle? Who do they respect? In other words, who's their attorney? Who's their accountant? Who's their social media expert? Who's their whatever? Because they've chosen those people. Who do they associate with? They've chosen those people for a reason. Who do they already trust? See, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. It's imperative to have trust in the business relationship. So who do they already trust? Because if those that they already trust also trust you, you can now benefit from referred trust. It's part of the process. Utilize inside help. Maybe you know somebody at a doctor's office that's the receptionist, and you want to really talk to the doctor, but you don't know the doctor, but you know the receptionist. Well, that's inside help. How about learning from your compatriots by sharing best practices? I talk to other speakers, trainers, authors, coaches, and consultants all the time. What are the best practices that you're doing right now? What are you, in this day and age, almost everybody you talk to is like, well, I was talking to somebody the other day and they're doing an amazing podcast, so I've started a podcast. See, when you share the best practices, what's working for them may also work for you, especially in identifying who these people. Reframe your mindset. Everyone is not a potential customer, but everyone is a potential lead source. So the point is that no matter whom you talk to, if you truly get to the point where you like people, novel concept, I would highly encourage it. If you want to be in the presentation business, you better learn to like people. Well, I'm an introvert. Get over it. I'm not saying you have to be an extrovert, but what I am saying is you have to learn to like people. You have to learn to have conversations. It's one of the greatest challenges that millennials, Gen Zs, and younger Gen X is facing today, is because they've either lost or never learned the art of conversation. And the art of conversation is what connects people. And you can tell me that you can do that on texting devices and online and things like that. And you can to a certain extent, but not to the depth as you can in a conversation. And that's quite frankly an advantage for boomers, Gen Xers, the folks that learned how to have conversations. Then there's group prospecting. Well, what's group prospecting? How about associations or service clubs, chambers of commerce, nonprofits, Rotary Club, Kiwanis, the Association of Entrepreneurs USA, eWoman Network, These are clubs, chambers of commerce, Dallas, Irving, whatever your local. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce. How about nonprofits? Make-A-Wish Foundation, American Heart Foundation, things like that. How about church groups? Again, you have an affinity in those groups because you believe similarly, whatever that might mean to you. And then how about networking organizations? How about the actual organizations themselves, the BNIs and the folks like that have specifically come together, team network, referral network, and folks like that have specifically come together to network. A great place for prospecting. How about looking at online news and newspapers? Now, I know most people don't look at newspapers anymore, but there's still some that do. And one of the classic techniques that I learned long ago is look for somebody bragging on somebody in a newspaper that you can cut out and mail to them and say, hey, I just found that your son or your daughter made the dean's list. You must be tremendously proud. I wanted to send you another copy of the article in case either you missed it or you'd like to have a spare. You've just made a new friend, I got to tell you. I learned that from the great Dr. John Deely, an amazing mastermind expert. See, my mentors shared things with me that I'm sharing with you. How about reading local business pages? Who got promoted? Who's changing companies? All those kind of notifications give you an opportunity to say, congratulations, you're a rock star. You did great. Well, if you didn't have a relationship with them before, you send them a message that says, hey, you're a rock star, congrats, and you now develop a relationship with them, would that be okay? Now, are they the prospect? You don't know yet. But again, they could be a potential prospect or they could become a potential lead source. You never know if they're in your avatar range. Look at those position promotions and congratulate people. How about lifetime achievements? People achieving, 50 years of marriage, 40 years of marriage, 25 years of marriage. That's a lifetime achievement. How about graduating? How about getting a degree? These are all things that people would love to be congratulated for. They've worked hard. They deserve it. And when you do that, it starts the relationship. And that's what you're looking to do. How about arm's length opportunities? What does that mean? Well, how about anybody who comes within an arm's length of you? Yeah, again, be friendly. Could be the grocery store, could be Starbucks, standing in line, could be a lot of different places, right? Have your elevator speech ready. Now, notice I say elevator speech, not elevator pitch, because quite frankly, the only people that pitch are baseball players. I'm a professional. You're a professional. We present or we have an elevator speech ready. Now, this is just a probably 30-second blurb about what you do. Scott, what is it you do? I help people like you and families like yours live a longer, happier, healthier life. How do you do that? Very well, thank you. It always gets a chuckle. No, but really, how do you do it? You understand, you get them wanting to learn more. How are you going to answer the question, what do you do? Well, I answer it a lot of different ways. I just gave you one. I say, well, the short answer is I help people help people. How do you do that? Very well, thank you. No, seriously, how do you do that? Well, I don't know what help people need. So I typically ask them questions and I ask, how can I be of service to you? We've just started a conversation. This is how we start to prospect. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. They can't trust you if they don't like you, and if they don't like you, they can't like you if they don't know you. You've got to start with know. And these are some of the ways that you start to know the marketplace. You start to explore. The secret is to be prepared. You have to be ready. You have to practice this. People can say things to me and there will be an answer that comes out. Why? Because I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've done this for years. I learn every day. I keep on doing it. You have to have something worth hearing. Telling them I'm a whatever the title on your card is not worth hearing. I'm sorry. The chances of them needing you at that time are negligible at best. And depending upon what your profession is, don't want to hurt your feelings here, just telling the truth, they might run. So you got to have something worth hearing. Why would they want to be attracted to you? What would create curiosity in them? Remember, you're having childlike curiosity. What would create childlike curiosity in them? Be interested, not simply interesting. In other words, don't make it about you. Be interested in them, not simply interesting potentially to them. So again, the more I'm interested in somebody else, the more I ask questions. The more I ask questions, the more I'm actually in control of the setting. And if I continue to tell me more, what does that look like? How would you use that? If you could improve one thing, what would it be? Be interested in their world. Now, a caution, be sincerely interested. This isn't a ploy. This has got to be who you are. Be you being able to talk to people. You never know the potential outcome until you talk to somebody. So again, if they know somebody to introduce you to, great. If they don't know somebody to introduce you to, great. I'm guessing over their lifetime they will. So if today's not that day, next, another person, that's okay. That's cool. So this is step one, exploring the marketplace. This is prospecting. This is how you start the entire Empower cycle. So we are concluded with session 2. Session 3 is make first contact. That's marketing. I look forward to you jumping all over this. Know I'm always here for you. God bless. Have a fabulous day.